Hey, what's up? What's up? Joe in Vegas back with another review. The end of, in my, I don't want to say professional because I'm far from a professional. In my honest opinion, going to thousands of shows in my life and hundreds and hundreds of shows since living in Vegas, hands down the greatest live thing, experience, show, whatever you want to call it, on the Las Vegas Strip over the last 20 plus years probably, has been the Beatles Love Show. I personally have seen it, I don't know, I've lost track, but I would say over 15 times for sure, and that's in a 10-year period. Yeah, so if I went at least twice a year, so it might be 20. Oh, God. Most people have heard they've made the decision to close the Mirage Hotel, and they're going to reopen it and rebrand it as a Hard Rock. They're going to build one of those big guitar hotels that they have in Orlando, which to a lot of people hit hard. A lot of people love the Mirage. The Mirage was the first mega resort, themed resort that they ever built on the Strip. But Steve Wynn took it to another level. And early on, I don't know the exact years. If I was, like I said, if I was a professional, I would have looked it up and had this data, but I don't. But a little bit after the opening, I think Beatles Love has been there for a while. At least 20 years for sure, I would think. It became a part of the hotel. It's been on the side of the hotel for as long as I can remember. It really was a staple, and it was this perfect fusion, I think, of the first time where you took this Cirque du Soleil enterprise, which has these, crazy, they're known for their creativity and their artistic and their, acrobatic style, and they merged it with the greatest music ever recorded. What I loved about Beatles Love, especially in the last 10 years since I really started falling in love with it, was it continued the legacy of the Beatles, which in my opinion is so important for the next generations. We all see what's happening to music. There's some great music out there, don't get me wrong, but the fact that the Beatles have been holding up since the 60s, this music doesn't get old, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't sound dated. I personally have taken dates there that were in their 20s, and this is one of my favorite stories of all time. I'm going to share it to you because it needs to be documented. I was dating a girl, she was 26, and she came to my house to go, and I opened the door. I love this story. And she goes, "What do you think?" I said, "About what?" She goes, "In my 80s outfit." I'm like, "Why are you wearing an 80s outfit?" She goes, "Are we going to see the Beatles Love Show?" And I looked at her. I said, "Please don't fucking tell me you think the Beatles are from the 80s. And she kind of got embarrassed and laughed. And I realized how disconnected this younger generation is. I realized I should probably start dating older girls. But I love that story because it shows you how far this younger generation is. They think Beatles were an 80s band. Like anything 80s, pre-80s, it all gets lumped together. Anyway, off topic completely, but I do love that story and I wanted to share it. But the best part of that story is when she sat down in her seat, the second the lights went down, this girl was very affectionate. This is important. This girl was very affectionate. Every show we ever went to, she'd be all over me, whatever. This show, the second the lights went down, she leaned forward on her seat in front of her. She put her hands in her face in her palms and did not look away. Every time she looked at me in the show, she had tears rolling down her eyes, rolling down her face. That's the impact of what this show had on people. I don't care what music you loved and didn't love. This music was incredible. This show was incredible. I don't know how to review this because normally I like to review things so people can check it out. I'm going to run through the set list real quickly of generally what they played, but I don't know what the point is. It's a lot of little tits and bits and sound effects and stuff like that. But because Get Back, Eleanor Rigby, Twist and Shout, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Drive My Car, Something in the Way, something, whatever. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, I Want You, Helter Skelter. These are little tidbits that they would throw in. Help, Blackbird, Strawberry Fields Forever, Within You, Without You, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Octopus's Garden, Lady Madonna, Here Comes the Sun, Come Together, Dear Prudence, Cry Baby Cry, Revolution, Back in the USSR, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, A Day in the Life, Hey Jude, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and All You Need Is Love. Now, there's so much to talk about. I'm not going to get into each song because there's really no point. This is a love letter to this show that, in my opinion, is a 10. And I'm telling you now, 10 out of 10 for last night. It was, I think, the most perfect show out there. I don't know how to review this because there's no point in going through each song and this and that because it'll never happen again. I am praying, and my spidey senses are hoping. They did nothing special at this show. There was no goodbyes. There was no thank yous. There was no, everybody in the back of their head was hoping Ringo would pop out maybe or something. None of that. They just did a show and ended it. And it got me thinking at the end, maybe they're moving to another hotel. Maybe they have a deal with the Hard Rock in 3 years to reopen it when they reopen it. I don't know. But I can't imagine them closing something this perfect. I just can't imagine the creatives at Hard Rock, the creatives at other hotels, the creatives that would let this thing die because it is perfect. A couple highlights for me have always been, and these are my personal opinions, and I'm sure most people agree with me, other than everything. I mean, it does tell this story of, it starts off with a real story of how, Europe, the UK were in a very bad place after the war. Life was great. The war happened. It was in a dark place. The people needed something to come out of that darkness. Poof, came the Beatles. And the Beatles and the music, the Beatlemania, gave kids some hope. It gave kids some life. It's a beautiful story. That's how it kind of starts, and then the rest of it just goes into this beautiful, creative, artistic orgasm, acid trip, mushroom trip, whatever you want to call it. It just goes from there. And they did an amazing job of those songs that you've known since you were a kid to bring them to life in a visual. Some of them nailed it. Like I said, the Lucy and This Guy with Diamonds, I mean, those are always exactly how you kind of imagined in your head. But some, they gave you a visual that you never had in your head, and you're like, yeah, for some reason that clicks. I don't know why. My favorites, just to point out, I don't know why, Something, which is just mostly dancing. I don't know why. I think it's the song in that case. I love Something. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs. I found through my love experience that I think I love George Harrison songs more than all the others. I love every Beatles song. I love the Beatles, but George Harrison songs connect to me on such a deeper way, which shows you how amazing this band is. I mean, it's just anyway, something about that dance routine with all the women flying at you and this and that, I thought was great. What else did I love? The With and Without You, I think everybody loves. It's when the bed comes up and the sheets go over the crowd, just perfect. Octopus's Garden is perfect. Here Comes the Sun is probably the highlight for me. Just taking this beautiful, beautiful piece of music and just great. I am going to miss this show. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to say this is a thank you. This is not a review. This is a thank you for anybody involved in that show, any of the creative team that put it together, the Mirage for keeping it there all those years. Ticket sales were slow these last few years. You can see when you went, it was a little bit empty. But I cannot tell you how many people I've taken over the years to this show, and I cannot tell you how many people I recommended this show to over the years. I am probably responsible for like $100,000 of ticket sales between me and everybody I yelled at to go see the show. I hope to God everybody who wanted to see it saw it. I'm really sorry if you missed it, and let's pray to God it comes back. Thank you, Beatles love, for the memories, for these images that are burned into my fucking brain. Those images will never, ever come out of my brain every time I hear Beatles. You took this incredible body of art, of Beatles music, and you seared images into our brains that will forever be tied to these songs, and that is fucking incredible. And for that, I will stand by this. This is the greatest show to have ever run, and probably will ever run on the Las Vegas Strip. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Subscribe if you like this channel. I'm always trying to post interesting content. Thank you to Cirque du Soleil. Thank you to everybody. And thank you for Beatles. And I don't know. I will see you at the next show. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.